Nothing like a mug of hot tea to get the nostalgia juices flowing. Hello and welcome to my first Patreon Q&A session. This video is about questions which have been posed to me by patrons. That is it. First, actually, saying that's it, I wanted to cover a couple of things. The other day I put a poll out to my patrons to see which system stories you wanted covering in the future, and Amstrad CPC came out on top with 9 votes, just scraped in there. Atari Lynx came second, Commodore VIC-20 third, and then the 3DO, Sega Saturn and Atari 400/800 series came in joint fourth. Just wanted to let you know the Amstrad CPC story will be coming quite soon. Should be out next week. Start of the week for patrons, hopefully, and then later in the week for everyone else. Woohey! It might be a two-parter because it's long. It's very interesting when you get into Sugar's life. Very interesting indeed. Okay, now let's go on to the questions. I haven't read these beforehand other than skimming through them to copy them and paste them. So this should give quite an authentic, if slap happy and trigger happy response. Probably more trigger happy than slap happy. Okay, so a question from Daniel Nelms from a couple of months ago, actually. As an Englishman...
I say.
Yes, Daddy?
Croquet hoops look damn pretty this afternoon.
What your take on US-centric games back in the day? Example, G.I. Joe, California games, etc. Did that bother you when you were younger? Were you indifferent, or did that add some sort of mystique? I say that last one because when we played secret agent games, everyone wanted to be James Bond because he was foreign and it added to the coolness factor. Well, for me, as a younger child, I wasn't really aware of foreign games, to be honest. There were games which came out for the system. I didn't know where they were from. I didn't know if they were from America. Obviously, I knew where the Japanese imports came from because they had Japanese lettering on the front. And you can tell a Japanese game because they are very different in style. But on the whole, it didn't really bother me. To me, the globe is humanity and we're all the same and all that jazz. So... didn't really notice, wasn't aware of it. Got a more recent one from Daniel Nels. I really enjoy the history videos, but I'm guessing it takes a very long time to produce. Yes, it does. I've recently done a interview with the Retro Hour podcast, which I think should be out next week. Has that game failed? It's got a loading failure, isn't it? Bloody Amstrad. But... well, I'll talk about that, but yeah, they take a long time to produce. For example, the second Amiga video, that was late because, well, we had Christmas to start with, and I decided to take a few days off. But, it takes about a week to write a script. There's a lot of research goes involved in those scripts and cross-referencing everything to make sure the details are as close as possible, and there's several sources for each fact. And then after that, it takes about a week or two to edit it together, to get the resources, pile it all into one to get the footage, and it takes about 3 weeks to make one, I would imagine, roughly about 3 weeks. And we're talking like 6 hours a day, sort of 5 days in a week to do that. There's a lot of time invested, but, I love it. I love sharing this. That's what drives me on. It's sharing the story. If I put these out and it got 100 views, I'd be happy because 100 people have seen the story and I've shared it, and that's all I'm really interested in, to be honest. Daniel Nelms also runs a Daddy-Daughter Gamer channel, so check that out. Joe Betro, shout out on SoundCloud. Yes, go and visit Joe Betro on SoundCloud. His music, I've listened to it, it is awesome. And he's a contributor to mine, so... definitely go and check it out. Matt Lee, please do Amstrad CPC stuff more. Yes, there we go. There's an Amstrad CPC, and as mentioned, it is coming. So, there we go. Couldn't be better, really. Gary Pinkett, how about the subject of cleaning up second-hand computer purchases, smoke-stained plastics, etc.? If you have any knowledge of this, obviously. Well, I quite like the smoky stained aesthetics of computers. I think it adds to something about their history. it's always nice when you see a computer which has been done with retro bright. It looks brand new and white, all nice and shiny. That is nice. Look, there's nothing like a brand new computer, but there's something in the yellow plastics about these old machines which I just kind of like. It's just, it kind of tells the story about the machine, where it's been, how it was kept, whether it was with some explosive, some smoker and it's completely yellowed, or whether it was kept in sunlight. It is just another part of the system story, and I quite like it. I don't bother whitening any of my equipment. I clean it up, I get rid of the grot if I can, and that is about it. I'm not very bothered about anything else, to be honest, unless you get like an accessory that you have to plug into the side. So you get an Amiga 500 CD drive, which is spanking white, and you plug that into your yellowed Amiga. That looks a bit off, but I can live with that.
Mugs available at nostalgianerd.com.
James Christensen, what would you say is the best vintage computer for people, particularly newer collectors to get into collecting? Well, the best computer for people. I would say that the best computer is probably an Amiga 600, because they're not as expensive as Amiga 1200s. You know, they're okay to pick up, but they can run most of the Amiga games, obviously not apart from the AGA games, and Amiga games are on the whole fantastic. Older Amiga games which require Kickstart 1.3 can be downgraded with a Kickstart disc. You can download all the disc ADFs online. You can play loads of great games, and plus Amiga 600s are pretty expandable too. You can get one of the USB disc drives that you can plug into the side, the Gotek drives, instead of a disc drive if you want to do that. But you can also put a flash card hard drive in them and put Workbench on. I've got a video about that somewhere. So it's great because you can just get into the Amiga scene and you can buy old discs and play games like that, or you can just choose, you can upgrade it when you're ready. And of course there's things like the Vampire 2 card for the Amiga 600, which push it much faster than any other Amiga, and they're soon going to be incorporating AGA functionality into that card, I hear, so it's really the only machine you're going to need. Also, shout out to Stuff We Play on YouTube. Check it out. Tom James, an argument that splits people on a regular basis, emulation versus the original hardware. Nothing quite beats the feeling of the bluish-grey rubber keys of a 48K, but at the same time, is it worth the cost of investing in hardware? Mods, CRTs and accessories to get the most out of it. Well, you get some people who are properly against the emulation scene. They prefer real hardware. I'm not like that. I love emulators. I think emulators are something to behold. Someone has sat there and created a computer in software. It's amazing. It blows my mind. So I think emulators are fantastic. You can get into games really quickly. Most of the ROMs are online. You can play whatever you want, and pretty much it emulates everything pretty much perfectly. I would, if you listen to a Commodore 64 emulator trying to emulate the SID chip and the real SID chip, you'd be hard pushed to recognise the difference between them. They are pretty much spot on. It's easy. You can have your PC sitting on your desk and have so many retro experiences from that. But at the same time, of course, nothing beats the original hardware. It's just that casts you back to a moment in time, doesn't it? It brings you back to the 80s or the 90s and you're there again, and it recreates the whole experience. And with emulators, you don't always, sometimes it's emulated through sound, but you don't get the experience of the disc drive sounds. If you're using a Spectrum, you don't get the tape sounds. I mean, obviously you get the loading bar sounds, but not the whirring of the cassette player. That sort of thing just adds to the experience and it makes it more exciting. So there's nothing like using the original hardware, of course, but emulation is a perfectly suitable secondary thing to use, in my opinion. Don't know why I'm singing that. I don't want to change into a musical because I don't like musicals. I believe that is it for the Patreon questions for this month. Hopefully I'll do one next month, or whenever there's enough questions to allow me doing one again. Oh, that artwork you see there, look at that. That is Another World. That was by banjo guy Ollie. You should, he does banjo music to all the musical chiptune sounds. It's delightful. Check out his channel. And also, check out the artwork, because look at that, that's amazing. Anyway, that's what that is. Here's an Amstrad CPC. I'm going to go back to that in a second and continue working on the Amstrad CPC story, mainly about Alan Sugar, because he is an interesting chap indeed.
How does this region get out of recession?
Oh shit. So look out early next week for that. And in the meantime, I hope you have a fabulous weekend. And that's bright light, that's blinding my face. And I'll see you next week. Toodaloo. It hadn't crashed at all. Look, it works fine. I was lying. Play game. Oh, I need joystick. This is Hero Quest. If you follow my social media, you will see me posting a box of this because I got this with a machine. I bloody love Hero Quest. Choose your set of spells. Can we? Can't do this via the keyboard. Anyway, there'll be a quick play of Hero Quest coming soon, no doubt. So stay tuned for that.